Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of YouTube audio quality. Specifically, we'll be exploring a detailed analysis of how YouTube's audio codecs and byte rates affect the final sound you hear. Get ready for a technical deep dive.
Sounds exciting. I've always wondered about the quality differences between YouTube videos. What's the core finding of this analysis? Is Opus really better than AAC?
Well, it's not quite that simple. The study compared YouTube's output to source audio files, looking at both AAC and Opus codecs at various byte rates and sample rates. The author used some really clever techniques, like cross-correlation, to precisely align the waveforms for comparison. It's a very rigorous approach.
Cross-correlation? Could you explain that a bit more? I'm not sure I fully grasped that.
Sure. Imagine you have two almost identical sound waves, but one is slightly shifted in time. Cross-correlation is a mathematical method that finds the best overlap between these waves, revealing the exact time difference. This is crucial for comparing the source and YouTube versions accurately. It's like finding the perfect alignment of two puzzle pieces.
I see. Interesting. So what did the alignment reveal about the audio quality?
The results were mixed. In one case, using the Opus codec at 48 kHz, the YouTube version showed a significant difference from the source, about 20 decibels below the original signal level. That's a pretty substantial difference, equivalent to around 10% distortion. Ouch!
Wow, 10% distortion is a lot. But what about the other codec, AAC?
The AAC comparison, at 44.1 kHz, showed a smaller difference, around -30 to -35 decibels, which is equivalent to about 3% distortion, a definite improvement, but still not perfect. The key takeaway is that both codecs suffered from high-frequency roll-off.
High-frequency roll-off? What does that mean?
It means YouTube's processing essentially cuts off the highest frequencies in the audio. In the Opus example, it was around 20 kHz. In the AAC example, it was even lower, around 16 kHz. This loss of high frequencies impacts the overall detail and clarity of the sound. It's like losing the fine brushstrokes in a painting.
So neither codec is perfect on YouTube. Is there a clear winner?
Based on this study, the AAC version at 44.1 kHz showed slightly better fidelity than the Opus version at 48 kHz. But both suffered from high-frequency loss. It's important to remember that this is just one study, and more research would be needed to draw definitive conclusions. The author also points out that sample rate conversion could be a factor.
Right, that makes sense. So what about the BBC iPlayer comparison? How did that fare?
The BBC iPlayer comparison using a 320 kilobits per second AAC stream showed significantly better results than YouTube. The error level was around -40 decibels, much lower than either YouTube example. This highlights the impact of byte rate on audio quality. It's a stark contrast.
So higher byte rates generally mean better quality, huh? That's not surprising, but it's good to see it confirmed. What's the overall takeaway from all this?
The main takeaway is that YouTube's audio compression, while functional, does introduce noticeable artifacts, particularly in the high frequencies. The choice of codec seems less important than the byte rate, and the potential for sample rate conversion during the process. It's a complex issue, with no easy answers.
It certainly is. Thanks for breaking down this complex analysis for us. This was a really insightful discussion.
You're welcome. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.